Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Daily Bern. This is the war room of the political revolution. Come on in, we'll start in just a second. This is a daily inspirational, motivational show for all of us that are fighting in this political revolution every day out there in the world trying to make the change that we want to see and be the difference in this world, doing what needs to happen. I made this show for all of us, so we had a positive place to come. There's just not enough positive message out there, and we need that. So share this out, get it out as far as you can, and I would really appreciate that. And smash that like button and comment. Participate in the show. I like reading your comments. Plus, any participation in the show helps us do better in Facebook's little algorithm and get out to more viewers. So all of that helps. So be the media, and thank you very much for doing that. Thanks for coming to the Daily Burn. I'm your host, Sean Yankee, and we're going to start the burn today with a quote. It goes, "We become stronger when men and women, young and old, gay and straight, native born and immigrant, fight together to create the kind of country we all know we can become." Now, that was our man Bernie, and he's been preaching that message for 40 plus years. And finally, he has built up an army capable of making real change happen in this country. Now, this is our time, right now. And this is how change happens when millions come together and stand united. And it's always been that way. Now, I never thought I'd see this happen. And now that it is, I've got to do everything that I can to make sure that we win this fight. And that's what it's going to take. Millions of us doing all that we can. And Bernie's great, but he doesn't do this alone. This is our fight. We do this. We have got to put the work in needed to accomplish this. If we don't do that, it won't happen. And we need enough people to understand that. Now, at least 2 million already do. And I include a link in the description of every Daily Burn to berniesanders.com. Please go there and see if there's any way that you can help out the campaign by becoming one of the more than 2 million of us that are already volunteering to help get Bernie elected and change this country and change our government. Or donate if you can. It is disgustingly expensive to run for president in this country, so any amount would help, even $1. There is no big money donations in this campaign. Bernie does not accept money from billionaires and super PACs and all of that. So we have to do our part. When the hat comes around, kick in $1 if you can. But get yourself a bumper sticker while you're there and put that on your car. I put my bumper sticker on maybe 3 weeks ago, and I cannot believe how many conversations that bumper sticker brings up. You know, people are constantly coming up to me at grocery stores and everywhere I go. Is that your Bernie sticker? I love Bernie. Blah blah blah. And it opens up all kinds of conversations. Like, I love Bernie, but I don't know about how we're going to pay for this. How would we pay for Medicare for all? And it gives you the opportunity. Sorry, sorry. It gives you the opportunity to talk to people about those things when they come up. And it's things like that, little things like that, really do make a big difference. You would be amazed. So try it out. Get you a bumper sticker and just do all you can. When I say do all you can, that's what I mean, right? It's little things. It's it's things like wearing your Bernie shirt, putting a bumper sticker on your car, um, doing something nice for somebody when there's no reason for it and you don't expect anything in return. Taking the extra time to have a conversation when an opportunity arises. You know, do all that you can. That's what it means. It doesn't mean living and breathing this revolution all day long. We all have our own lives. You know, in this fight that we're in, this isn't like any other fight that I've ever been in my life, right? This is a long, drawn out, tedious fight that goes on for months, and can be overwhelming at times. But you just need to remember that all you need to do is stay consistent, and do what you can. That's it. You are part of millions. Me and you, we working together. We're doing separate things, but we're all part of the same unit, working together. All of our actions, even though they're happening individually, are adding up and will cause a tidal wave that will sweep over this whole system and tear it down and allow us to rebuild it into something that actually works for the people. We're going to win. I know that for a fact. I'm not the least bit concerned that we're going to lose. And I say that taking everything that we're up against into account. I understand exactly what we're up against. I am not naive. I know that the system is rigged. I know that the media is a weapon. I know that they'll use everything that they have to deceive and mislead the average person and to defeat us. I know they will. But we're going to win. And I'm no optimist. I'm a realist. I just know and believe in what we're doing. And I know it's the way change happens. And I see that we have the momentum needed to win. Now, people ask me, what will we do if we lose? Now, I don't really know because I don't think we're going to lose. I've got no plan B, honestly. In my opinion, plan B takes away from plan A. And our plan A is pretty damn solid. So why think like a loser? You got to think like a winner. I say this almost every day now, but it's true. It all starts in your mind. You got to believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. That is going to be 90% of it, is believing it. Believing you can do it. Making up your mind that you're going to do it. And believing that you can. And not backing down. When life throws challenges at you, which it will, guaranteed, life is very good at knocking you down, especially when you're trying to do something and accomplish something. It's almost as if life wants to make sure you really want it. You know, it throws obstacles in your way to test you. You have to earn it. But if you do the work and if you keep moving forward, and when you get knocked down, you get back up and keep pushing. And don't allow your will to be broken. You can win and you can accomplish whatever you want. You can. It can be anything. It can be from something small to changing the world. Your reality becomes what you accept. Your reality ends up being what you tolerate. When you can't tolerate something, you eliminate it from your reality. You don't have it in your life. You learn to accept things, and because of that, you tolerate them, and by tolerating them, you're allowing them to exist. Stop tolerating them. Stop accepting less. We need people to understand their value. You're worth more than the scraps that you're given. And we have it better than most of the world. Americans are spoiled in a large part. Even we are oppressed and held back. A lot of us don't realize it, but and paid starvation wages and all of this, but we're still spoiled in the large scheme of things in a worldwide view. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say. When you look at the big picture, Americans are spoiled. I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but we don't realize, and when I say we, I'm talking about the grand we, society as a whole, not us. The anyone that would watch and sit through this much of a show like this is probably pretty informed and probably pretty active in politics and is up on the news and knows what's happening in the world. But your average person, then that's what we need to understand. The average person is not any of those things. Um, and it's because of many reasons, and it's not entirely their fault. They're being attacked by a weapon, a propaganda machine that is very powerful and very polished, and it is perfected. It works really well. They're under that. They a lifelong of, of indoctrination, and what passes in this country is education, which really is just training to be a cog in the machine. So you're fighting against all of that, right? And you may have been lucky enough to break through and rise above that. And now you're able to think for yourself and see the big picture. But we, as the woke, have to wake the others. It is our responsibility. And that is our job, right? Bernie and us have different jobs. Bernie is doing a fantastic job. He's doing his part. He's doing all that he can. I challenge you to name someone that's working harder for the American people than Bernie Sanders. But Bernie is just one man, and he can't do this on his own. Even if he could, and he got elected president, he couldn't accomplish anything that he's setting out to accomplish. All of these big things, like Medicare for all, living wage, and rebuilding the crumbling infrastructure, all of this. He can't accomplish any of it without us. This is our fight 100%. Bernie is our candidate, and he's a fantastic candidate, and he's going to inspire. Electing him president is going to inspire millions of people. It's going to cause a tidal wave of change. It's going to be massive. It's going to be a nuclear strike to the establishment. But if we don't stay active and we don't do our part, nothing happens. You know, even if we elect Bernie and then clock out, nothing happens. Nothing happens. This is our fight. We do this. When enough of us understand that, when enough of us own this 100%, take full responsibility for it, and move forward and do all that we can, we will win. And that's the direction we're heading in. That is where our momentum is. That is what's happening right now. And as long as we keep moving forward, we cannot be stopped. That's a fact. That is not me selling you a pipe dream. It's me telling you the truth. And that's why I made this show. That didn't exist. You have independent journalism. You have people telling you the truth. And that's good. You need to support that. And I'm glad that exists. But in that medium, you have these truth tellers that are doing great work. Thank you to every independent journalist out there that is doing what you're doing, because the truth is being killed in real time, and without you, it will die. So thank you and support them. But what I see when I watch them is a lot of it's too rigged. It's look at what they're doing now. Throwing up your hands. Well, that's it, guys. The DNC has rolled out new rules for the caucuses, and they're going to allow people to vote by phone. So pack it in. It's too hard. It's rigged, and there's nothing we can do. That's dangerous. You know, I don't want to tell anybody how to do their job. I'm an amateur. I made this show up out of thin air because I wanted to see one like it, and so I made one. I don't know what I'm doing, and a lot of these people, they know a lot more than me. But you're using your platform to preach weakness. You know, yes, it is rigged. Yes, the media is biased. Yes, the whole system is going to fight its ass off against us, and it is going to be very hard. That's all true. But the part you're not telling people is they are on the right path. They are doing the right thing. And they are moving in the right direction. And that if they keep going, they can win. They can overwhelm the rigged system with their numbers. And that's been true all throughout time. When the people come together and stand united, they win. And we are going to win. Not Bernie, us. Believe it. Believe it. Own it. Say it to yourself over and over and over again until you're walking around and no one can shatter that confidence. No one can shatter that resolve. You're living it. This is going to happen. You're going to make it happen. And it's going to happen. Nobody's going to stop you. That's how you have to think. That's it. Thank you, everybody, for coming. The show has really been taken off. We had an episode the other day go over 400 views. It hasn't happened in a long time. We've only had one other episode that hit 500, and that was after like 3 or 4 weeks of being up. This is only 2 days. So that's very exciting, and almost 100 shares on that episode. So thank you guys so much for all that you're doing to support the show. And if you shared, thank you very much. That helps more than you know. It really does. And this message needs to spread and get out there. So thank you. Real quick, I wanted to mention a few of the comments from yesterday's burn that we didn't get to. So Alyssa was here and she was talking about how Bernie is smart because he talks to everyone. And she was referencing the Cardi B interview, which if you didn't see, check it out. It's a really good interview. I was surprised. I didn't know who Cardi B was. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. But she asked some really good questions. And things like that. Things like, doing an interview with Cardi B and going on the Joe Rogan experience. Things like that are the things that Bernie does that is going to win this election. Joe Rogan has a huge following, and it doesn't exactly have a political audience, but he has an open-minded audience. And they're people that, Bernie wouldn't have usually gotten the chance to talk to, and he got to talk to them for an hour. And then this Cardi B interview. Cardi B has 6 million something followers on Twitter. A huge audience, and according to my son, is a very big celebrity right now. It's a huge endorsement. And to give her a chance to interview him and to ask questions that her followers want asked, that is a good thing. And Bernie is not above that. And Alyssa's right. Bernie is smart. That is a smart tactic. You go where the people are. That's how you spread the message. That's where you go, where the people are at. But Royce was here and said that we are Bernie's media. We're his army. And that's the way we need to think about it. That's our role in this fight. Bernie, he has his job. He's a politician, doing a great job. He's killing it. Our job is to be the media. For the most part, that's almost like 98% of our job. Really is. The propaganda machine is not only a big enemy of ours, it's a big enemy of humanity's. And it needs to be destroyed. But without us doing all that we can to fight the lies and propaganda, the average person is under a constant attack and is really defenseless. I get that this is the age of information and everyone's walking around with a phone in their pocket and a computer in their pocket and can look up anything that they want, and they don't have to be dumbed down. And we're proof that you can rise above it, etc., etc., etc. I get that a lot of it's willful, you know, but we still got to wake them. We still need them to wake up. So that's what we do. We're the media. We're Bernie's army, and that's our job. Rob said that we hit the streets if they fuck us over, is what he said. I was going to try not to drop that F bomb, but some situations call for creative language. We do hit the streets. You know what? You want to know what plan B is? I don't have a plan B. But if I had to come up with one, if you had a gun to my head and you're like, okay, Bernie loses, what do you do? They don't give him the nomination. They rob him of the nomination. You're going to have a total replay of 2016. So then what do? What do you do, Sean? I put on a yellow vest and I get on here every day and we move forward with revolution in mind. This fight doesn't stop, and if we allow them to rig a second election in this country, we got a lot more problems than Bernie losing. We're done. We're done. Because something like that needs to upset everyone, whether you are Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green, I don't care. They rigged an election in this country. Just because they did it to Democrats doesn't mean they couldn't do it to you. When somebody is being attacked or something's happening, just because you're not affected doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything. And democracy itself was attacked in plain sight, in front of everyone's eyes, with the cooperation of the media, the full cooperation of the media. What we saw should have scared everyone. Did it? So if that happens again, I will lose all faith in politics, and this will no longer be a voting show. Matter of fact, I'm not that super into politics. I had given up all hope on politics until I saw Bernie Sanders speak for the first time, and then realized, okay, there's one worth fighting for, and I'm going to do what I can. But if we lose another fight, not if we lose, if we're robbed again, then I think that revolution is the only other way. We're running out of time. TikTok goes the clock. Science, all mainstream science is in agreement that we have like 10 years. And I'm telling you, we're heading for an economical crisis too, an economic crisis in this country. Things are going to get bad. And we're being protected from that truth. It's being hidden from us, but I just think it's really close and right around the corner, and we're running out of time to fight back. So if we're being given a golden opportunity right now, and if we let it slip through our fingers, then we'll have to change direction. But again, I am not going to focus on losing. You don't win by focusing on how hard it's going to be. Like, I'm just going to fight with all I can, do all I can, put in all the effort I can, and in the end, win or lose, I will know that I did all that I could. I will have a clear conscience at the end of this fight. Now, I hope you'll be with me. I hope you'll do all you can. And if enough of us do, we're going to win. But that was the comment section from yesterday. Real quick, let's get into the news. Let's head over to the newsroom and see what's going on in the news. Okay, today in the news, we're going to start on the Hill. And I cannot believe what I'm seeing here. I almost have to read this article just to find the hit in it because The Hill has a headline that says, "Forget conventional wisdom. Bernie Sanders is electable." Now, some of you remember how much The Hill did to throw a wrench in everything that we were trying to do. But it says, finally, we've got common sense. Many in the media are fixated on who might be able to win back Trump voters. An imaginary factory worker in Michigan drives a lot of electability in this conversation. Honestly, even if this were the target voter, Sanders would look pretty good. He consistently outperforms with independents and working class voters. This is from The Hill. I'm a little shocked. Good to see. But yeah, they're starting to admit it. I'm glad to see that. The next thing I wanted to share with you guys is a video clip, and it's from MSNBC, and it's Bernie on Israel.
Senator, good to see you. What's your reaction to President Trump asking the president of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to do this, and Netanyahu obliging?
Well, I wish I could tell you, Ali, that I am shocked. I am not. We have a president who tragically is a racist, is a xenophobe, and who is a religious bigot. But the idea that a member of the United States Congress cannot visit a nation, which, by the way, we support to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, is clearly an outrage. And if Israel doesn't want members of the United States Congress to visit their country to get a firsthand look at what's going on, and I've been there many, many times, but if he doesn't want members to visit, maybe he can respectfully decline the billions of dollars that we give to Israel.
Over time, in excess of $140 billion last year alone, $3 billion in various types of aid. You've actually suggested that that might be used to leverage some of Israel's behavior that Representatives Omar and Tlaib are critical of, as you've been critical of.
Well, all that I am saying is that we need a Middle East policy which is even-handed, which protects the independence and the safety of Israel, but also shows respect to the Palestinian people, many of whom in Gaza and elsewhere are suffering incredibly. Unemployment rate off the charts. People cannot leave their community. And I think what the United States should be doing, especially with the enormous amount of money we're spending there, is to demand that Israel and the Palestinian leadership sit down and start working out their differences and create peace in that troubled region.
Senator, I'm never going to pass an opportunity when you're on with me to talk about the economy. I want to talk about what's going on this week. Donald Trump's trade war, the effect that it's having. Look, he's been roundly criticized for the way he's handled this, not critical of the fact that he and some of his supporters believe that China needs to be dealt with differently. You too have had views, and so many of your supporters have had views that we lose out to manufacturing that comes from low-wage countries like China. Watching what you're watching now, how would a President Bernie Sanders deal with trade issues differently? Because you were against the TPP. You have come out against a lot of these trade agreements. Yep. So how would you handle matters differently so that we don't get ourselves into the pickle we're in right now?
Well, first of all, you don't do trade policy by tweet. You don't have a belligerent policy toward our allies all over the world. What you do is sit down with the stakeholders, which is labor, which are farmers, and you work out a trade policy which works for ordinary Americans and not just large corporations, which has historically been what our trade policy is about. Look, the truth is that if you looked at NAFTA and PNTR with China, that has cost us some 4 million jobs. So I happen to believe in trade. I'm a strong believer in trade, but it cannot be unfettered free trade, which it really is not. It's nothing free about it, but it has to be fair trade, which protects American workers and farmers.
Senator, when you got into government, trade, I'm making this up, but it was somewhere around.
All right, so that goes on for about 5 more minutes. Check that out if you would like to see the rest of the interview. It's actually a decent interview. I just wanted to play the part about Israel. We give Israel, what is it, $11 billion in aid a year, and citizens of Israel enjoy things like universal health care and extended education. They have free college, things like that are pipe dreams here. They enjoy in Israel, And what they are doing to the Palestinian people is genocide. And we are supporting that. So we need to take that aid, leverage that aid, and put an end to some of these things that are happening over there. So I agree with Bernie on that. The last thing that I want to get into in the news today, we're going to look at every day probably. This I'm very excited about. This is the Bern Notice. This is the official campaign newsletter. Um, this is going to be really cool. But this is one of the first stories launched on the Bern Notice. Subscribe to that, by the way. Um, this is a piece called What We Cannot Discuss. And it says this is the first edition of Bern Notice, the digital newsletter of the Bernie 2020 campaign. Please forward this on to your friends and tell them to subscribe. The views expressed here are solely of the bylined author. I'll read a little bit from it. But this is really cool. So it says people will think what I tell them to think. Charles Foster Kane. As Bernie Sanders has been rising in the post-debate polls, why are the elite media pundits particularly angry at him? The explosion of rage tells us that a lot of what the corporate media says we can and cannot discuss, and how frightened the establishment really is. And they really are. Let's review what happened. This week, the billionaire-owned Boston Globe and New York Times both rehashed an old media manufactured trope, pretending that Bernie Sanders doesn't talk to people at parades and fairs. He does, a lot. This followed the Washington Post ignoring a slew of recent positive polls for Bernie and instead choosing to only publish a big story on one single bad outlier poll. In response, Bernie suggested that maybe the reason this keeps happening is because billionaire media moguls like Jeff Bezos and others don't particularly like his agenda that would take power away from billionaires and corporations. No, that can't be it, right? That's crazy. But Vox pointed out that yes, Bernie has some legitimate complaints. Media outlets do seem to be looking for signs of weakness. There's more coverage of a sputtering campaign than one that is steadily chugging along in second place nationally. The latter is closer to the truth. You know, we're actually the front runners by far. But I'll let them stay second place. You know, still, if you consider this, let's say we're second place. All right. I know we're the front runner, but let's say we're second place. We're still not getting any coverage. What's happening is monumental. This is historic. This is news. Millions of people, 2 million volunteers. Last I checked, over 2.5 million individual contributions to a presidential campaign. It's crazy. It's never been done. That's news. You know, you're running 24-hour a day news channels. You're not reporting on one of the biggest things going on in this country right now. But the campaign has took it upon themselves to come up with their own newsletter. So subscribe to the Bern Notice and follow the campaign's news. But that's really cool. So check out the Bern Notice and subscribe to follow Bernie News. We're going to be our own media. So that was the news. That's really cool about the newsletter. Get that, the Bern Notice. Subscribe to that. We need to show our support and But for Bernie events, the campaign is heading to South Carolina the 17th and 18th for 5 events, including a town hall on Sunday with Nina Turner. Nina Turner is going to be there. So check that out. I will try to share the feed if I find it. I'm sure there'll be a live feed, and I love watching Nina speak. So a Nina Bernie doubleheader, that's coming up on Sunday. And then the campaign's going to go back to Iowa on the 19th through the 21st for 10 events. They are really, really, really hitting Iowa hard, which is going to pay off. Iowa is the first primary state, and we need to do really well there. We need to crush Iowa, and the campaign's really focusing heavily on doing that. The coolest event, there's going to be a lot going on that trip, but the coolest event is going to be the campaign softball game against the press. They're going to be holding that at the Field of Dreams ballpark in Iowa, and that should be really cool. And I hope Coach Bernie runs up the score against the press. I hope they crush them, you know, because it'll probably get no coverage, even though they're playing against reporters and members of the media. So that's what's going on with the Bernie campaign. If you want to stay informed with the Bernie campaign, um, watch this show every day because I do Bernie events every day on the show. Get the Bern app. That thing's great. And record a My Bernie story on the Bern app and share that out to show your support for the campaign. It's real easy to do. It takes just a few minutes, and they're pretty neat. But text Bernie to 67760, and that will enroll you in the texting program. And volunteers like me will text out Bernie events and things like that that are relevant to you in your area. And that's about it. So those are the ways to stay involved and informed with the revolution and the campaign. And we've come to the end of another episode of the Daily Burn. Thank you guys so much for watching. We've been having really big turnouts at the premieres, and I'm excited about that. That's really cool, and a lot of shares. Um, we had one episode, the one that got to 400 something views, had 93 shares, I think. So that is fantastic. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show and all of that. Real quick, I want to mention something. I don't even really want to mention it on the Daily Burn because, like, I look at this as volunteering. This is something that I do for the campaign. I'm sorry, hold on a second. My dog is whining. I need to let her outside. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh, that's right. We were wrapping up. The support for the show has been great. And again, thank you for that. Um, what I was going to say is I started a fundraiser, right? And I'm reluctant to promote it, but I got talked into doing it. You know, I would like for these shows to return to be live, and the problem is my computer, which is becoming more of a problem. I'm actually afraid that it's going to die on me. Everything I do on it now takes a really long time. Like, for example, I pre-record this show, and when I edit them, they're about a half hour each, these shows, and they take almost 2 hours to save. The computer takes 20 to 30 seconds to load a web page. It's coming to its end. I've been looking up ways to fix it, and I've done all I can, but I can't get it to do what I need it to do. So I started a fundraiser because a lot of people want us to go back to lives, and I want to keep this going. I don't want it to stop. And if live videos are what people want, then that's what we need to do because I want this to get out to as many people as possible. So I started a fundraiser to raise money to buy a new computer. If you would like to donate to that fundraiser, it is on my Facebook page. But again, I reluctantly bring that up on this show because this show is my volunteer work. I do this for the campaign. This is, no one asked me to, but I look at it as volunteering and, something that I do to help out the revolution. So I reluctantly bring it up, but only because it has to do with the show, and it's stupid to have set it up. Even though I'm embarrassed that I set it up, it's stupid to have set it up and not talk about it, not promote it. So the fundraiser exists. I don't need it, you know. I don't know why I'm being this way about this. A lot of people raise money online. It's not weird. And um, what I want it for is a good purpose. It's just there are people on my Facebook page right now raising money for medical expenses and dental work, important things that they need. And I don't need a computer. If my computer dies, I can do this show off of my phone, and I will. We will keep going, you know. So I'm not. Um, I'm rambling. There is a fundraiser to raise money for a new computer for the show. If you'd like to donate, it's on my Facebook page. I probably won't bring it up again, but I set it up to run through the 23rd of September. And my goal, I priced laptops that have the settings that I need, and my goal is $800. So If we reach it, we reach it. If we don't, we don't. Um, I would much rather, if you're looking for what to do to help the show, donate to the Bernie Sanders campaign, volunteer, um, spread some truth, do something for the revolution. That's how I want you to promote this show. What I want this show to do is inspire people. Like, my favorite comments are when I see somebody say they're going to donate to the campaign. I love that, because just the thought that I inspired you to want to do that. That's the point. That's why I'm doing this. I wanted there to be a positive motivational voice for our movement. Someone out there telling you the truth that, yes, this is going to be hard, but it is not impossible. This can be done. All we have to do is all we can. All we have to do is understand that this is our fight. And if we understand that, and if we do all we can, we're going to be unstoppable. It's just the way it is. We outnumber them. We overwhelm them with our numbers, and we're going to win. So keep doing it. Keep fighting. Keep plugging along out there. And we will see you again on Monday for the next episode of the Daily Bern. Thank you guys so much for watching. And just keep doing everything that you're doing. You guys are warriors, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. I'll see you on Monday. Thank you.